All right, so I wanted to take a question I got from a real estate investor and sort of bring it home to the rest of us. And that's really about, hey, I'm a full-time employee. How do I do what you did, knowing that I'm going to likely be investing in a market that maybe is not where I live? Well, really, this comes down to understanding that you need to be able to manage a team or at least identify key team members and be able to manage what I'll call a virtual team. So I think there's really sort of four buckets of individuals that you sort of need to have in your Rolodex and manage. So I thought I would go through those, talk about them each sort of individually, and then break them down into more specific details. So like always, we start with the goal of the session. I'm going to talk about the four key members, at least initially, just identify them so we get that out of the way. And then I'm going to break each one of them down into more details. Talk about some suggestions, maybe some interviews, and more importantly, maybe how to manage some of the team as you go forward. So here they are, right? I've already created a video about the number one resource for a full-time employee, and that's the property manager, right? This is the individual that's going to do a lot of the drudgery, a lot of the hard work, a lot of the tenant screening and tenant work, and the whole fixing toilets and all of that stuff that none of us have time for. So not going to go against this. These are the most important team members to get, and again, we'll break them down in more detail on the subsequent slide. Real estate agent or team, one of the things that's very obvious, talking to investors who have full-time jobs, is the hardest part of all of this is finding the opportunities to add to your portfolio. Not everyone has the bandwidth flexibility to take an hour a day for the better part of a decade and look through the MLS and write up offers and all of that. I realized that my nature of going about attacking it that way is not for everyone. It's hard. So you need to have a team and an agent that is going to be working for you and understands you and all of that. So we'll talk about them in more detail. You need to have access to investor financing. Today, this is probably pretty easy if you're just starting as a full-time investor or you're a full-time employee and you're looking to start. I would say just go to your financial institution and the like. But again, we'll break them down in more detail in a subsequent slide. And then the other one I just call the others. I think I've made it clear that real estate investing is a people business. There are lots of people that need to be a part of your virtual team as you go forward and you grow from 1 to 2 to 5 to 10. That's escrow, repairs, inspectors, appraisers, all of that. So again, we'll get through this pretty quickly, I think. So the property manager, this again is the most important role. I can't say that enough. This is the one that's going to take the most communication. It is probably the riskiest in that if you make a bad call, there's a transition time to go to someone else. It's the one that you're going to probably, if you had to make a change, this is the one that is most likely to make a change. Truth be told, we changed property managers 4 or 5 times over our investing career, sometimes because they weren't communicating us, they were treating us like a small fish. They had much bigger fish to go after. Some because we outgrew. They wanted to sort of stay mom and pop and didn't want to keep growing and didn't want to have one investor sort of dominate everything. So lots of reasons why this could change, let alone them stealing money or any of these horror stories you hear. Generally doesn't happen like that in real world. Those are stories that we all tell each other. But in reality, it's lack of communication, not timely, return of calls and things of that nature that would likely drive a full-time employee to make a change. Because again, you have such small slivers of time that you need to make sure any increment of time is they're helping. So again, whatever market you're in, you need to ask for referrals. Obviously, if you happen to choose the market I'm in, we'll take care of that. But again, this video is created for anybody around the world. So ask for referrals. If you're looking at Baltimore or Detroit or Austin, Texas, and wherever, ask for referrals. Right? There's just there are likely other landlords out there, small mom and pop. There are websites like Bigger Pockets and the like that maybe you can go join a forum and get referrals. It's a great way just to get ideas. You can also go to local real estate investment groups. In the beginning, I think these are great just to validate what you're hearing. There's lots of marketing that goes on at these, so don't be confused. But you'll likely be sitting in a room with 30 or 40 other investors. Likely most of them are either new or just starting out, and they may have some contacts that you don't have. The other thing is once you get a referral or two, make sure you get references. Now, I know, right, that references are likely to be the ones that come back positive, but that's okay. You never know what you can hear on a call that would just maybe set off alarm bells or whatnot. The other thing is you got to call them, right? If they're going to get 2 or 3 references, call them. Again, it's another contact. Even if you know the reference call is going to go great and, oh, yeah, I love the property manager and they do all this great work, get to know that investor, right? That's an investor on the other end. And they're obviously ahead of you. So ask them questions. Hey, when did you start? What they do for you? Just get to know more and more people. That's one of the things you should do with these references. I would tell you to, at least in an area that I don't know, you've got to talk to at least 3. And for heaven's sakes, no less than 2. You can't get on the phone call with one and have some sweet talking property manager just go, oh, wow, we just clicked. Talk to a second one at least. And if you can, talk to a third, just so you can get a feel. And again, you get to know more and more people. Part of this process in the beginning is building your virtual network in that area. So yes, there are some initial legwork that you'll need to do. And then the other thing I would do is once you've made a selection, is I would treat the first 6 months like a probation period. And what I mean by a probation period is you're going to do a lot of double checking. You're going to be, asking questions, following on expenses. You're just trying to get into the rhythm of how this relationship is going to go. And if it's not working out, it should probably be clear to both of you that it's not working out and be ready to make a change. I made a change after 4 months one time, right? Didn't work out the first month. Thought it was my problem, right? I'm a busy guy traveling all over, and I thought maybe I just wasn't communicating. And lo and behold, it didn't work out, and we had a 60-day clause in the contract to transition, and we just moved on to someone else, right? So it could happen, and I would tell you in the beginning, and then once you get that rhythm, life generally gets a lot better. So here's the one, right? The hardest part is finding opportunities that meet your criteria. To add to your real estate portfolio. And generally the people that have access to these are going to be a real estate agent or the agent's team. So, they're the one that's going to be putting, that little, the next house or duplex or apartment in your portfolio. So I would tell you need to be loyal to that team. If this team is really going to be working with investors, they're going to be doing a lot of work that you don't see. So the last thing you can do is, work with a team, get all this going, and go somewhere else and buy a property in their market without them. Right? This is a commission business. They are doing lots of expenses up front, and the return is supposed to be that commission. Now that said, right, let's just say, for example, we're working together in the Central Valley, and for whatever reason you decide to buy in Nashville. Totally different story, right? That if you choose to invest in another market outside, no harm, no foul. I guess what I'm referring to is, let's just say Nashville, for example. You're working with an agent in Nashville, and then for whatever reason you find something on another site or another investor with a Nashville house and you buy it. That other agent who's done all the work and worked with you is not going to be happy. And if that happened to me, I would tell you I wouldn't work with you anymore. Because again, you don't get into a commission-based business and not treat loyalty as priority number one. So again, just realize that if you're going to do that, make sure. I would tell you that I wouldn't work with all real estate agents. Especially if you're dealing with investors, right? You need to make sure that the agent is interviewing you and you both get on the same page. Every investor is different. Everybody has their own plan, and the two of you should be working hand in hand, right? If you're not communicating, that's a problem. And if you're just another guy writing offers, I don't think I'd work with that agent. I think it needs to be long-term, right? This is a relationship that should work long-term. You're both mutually benefiting from the relationship, but communication needs to be key. The better the agent or the agent's team understands you, understand your goals as they evolve, the better they will serve you. So, if you get to a point where, hey, you know what, I'm not looking at houses anymore. I want to look at duplexes or quads or whatever. Make sure you're telling them that because, real estate agents are people too. They can't generally read minds. So keep the dialogue going and make sure that you have, monthly check-ins or every 6 weeks, whatever makes sense for your situation. Right? Then there's the others, right? You should expect your team to have these relationships. You should get to know these people over time, right? They're there to protect you. They're a part of your virtual team. treat these extras as team members, and they'll take care of you, and they'll ignore because they'll be ignored by other investors. So be different, be better. And then the bankers. Right, these are the ones I left for last because it's frankly the easiest thing to do up front. Getting access to investment financing is pretty easy for a full-time employee. Um, it's very easy for the first four purchases, right? So first four investment properties. The next 5 through 10 are not terribly hard and actually getting easier. After 10 takes work in today's market. Now, fast forward a year or so, it could change. But again, we're talking about starting, so let's focus on the first four, and it's probably not that hard. I generally start with the bank that has my checking, savings account, whatever. It's just going to be easiest. They have all your information, generally just fast. Then know that there's 2 different ways you can get stuff from your banker or mortgage broker. One's a pre-qualification. This is basically very easy. It's, hey, they have a pulse, they have a job. Yeah, we know them. However, if you're going to be making significant purchases, I would go to the next step and actually secure a pre-approval. Pre-approval means they've run your credit, they've actually approved you for a dollar amount, and means a lot more. A pre-approval means a lot more in a seller's market. A pre-approval in a seller market means they can say yes with confidence. A pre-qual is often not seen as worth the paper it's written on. However, if that's all you have, that's all you have. But again, if we're going to be doing this together, I would tell you to invest the time and go get a pre-approval letter for some certain dollar amount. And again, I would work with your real estate agent or agent's team to ask, well, what do you think what should I ask for, right? Because maybe in your market, you're looking for a house, it's 250 grand. Maybe you're going to go big and you're going to go to a more expensive market and you want to ask for $1 million. Doesn't matter. But have that conversation so that when you go ask for the pre-approval, you're getting the right dollar amount. The worst thing you could do is go through the whole pre-approval for 250 and find a 750K deal and have to go do it again, right? Because that pre-approval letter is not going to work for that 750K purchase. So again, just understand. So in summary, right, property manager is the most important. It's going to take the most time. You've got to interview, check out, manage, look for referrals, references, build your network through that. Never be afraid to make a change here, right? These are the ones that are really servicing your rental every day. So you got to make sure that they are removing burdens and not adding burdens, right? If you're stressed out at the end of the day about what your property manager is doing, I'm telling you, you need to make a change. The real estate agent or the team that you choose to work with, they're going to be doing lots of work on, hopefully up front, right? Questions, interviews, all of that. Then it's time for you to be loyal and reciprocate, because hopefully they will be bringing you opportunities once they understand what you're looking for. And the last thing you should do is work with them, do all this work, time invested, and then you go somewhere else. That would be bad. Banker access to financing is easy, but it's important. As you go through this, as you get through your 4th, 5th, 6th, financing in relationships will become important. So realize that. And then all these extras. Treat these extras as team members, because again, they are individuals that can help you make relationships and contact. For example, think about an escrow agent. Right, an escrow agent probably sees or is operating on, I actually don't know, but I have to guess 20 or 25 files at a time, maybe 50. And they've probably seen thousands and probably know different investors. So just think about the relationship, sending a thank you card or whatever, and just be different, right? Treat everybody like you'd like to be treated, as I like to say. In the end, so hopefully that makes sense, right? There's a couple of roles that you really need to actively manage, right? The property manager, you are hopefully in a mutually beneficial relationship with whatever real estate or real estate agent's team you happen to select. You're going to need access to financing, and maybe starting with your bank is not a bad idea. And then there's all these other extras, as I call them, that you should take the time as you grow in this in your investing career over time. So with that, I'd like to end this 15-minute video and ask you to subscribe to One Rental at a Time. Take care. Bye.